Hey loves, today I want to show you guys something really special that I don't think I've ever shown you before. Today I want to show you Soul Cards 2. This is an old deck, it's mine. I bought this years ago. It had to have been like 10, maybe more years ago. And I keep it in this bag because I no longer have the box that it came in. And I do have the guidebook though, so I want to show you guys this deck, and I want to show you all the cards, and I want to show you why it's so special. My name is QueenAusetHeru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to anybody and everybody who might like it as well. Please drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And if you want to get a reading done, please hit me up on email or on social media. I will be happy to give you a reading. All of my Patreon and all of my personal information where you can contact me is underneath this video. And if I can find a link to where you can buy a legitimate copy of this deck, I believe it's on Amazon. And I am an Amazon affiliate, so if I can find a Amazon link, I will post it underneath this video at the very top. So again, this deck is called Soul Cards 2. Now you may be wondering, why is the guidebook so thin? The guidebook is thin because there is no interpretations in here. This is all you're going to get. You're going to get some ways of using the cards for personal use, some ways of preparing to use the cards, ways of doing like reflection in groups or silent contemplation by yourself. So they tell you all of the ways that you can use the deck, basically. You can use it with music, one-on-one in your relationships. I've seen people use it for therapy. I've seen people use them with children. I've seen people use them in groups, as you can see. So this is all you're going to get in this guidebook. As you can see, I can flip through it and show you every single page. That's it. There are no interpretations of the cards. Now let me show you the cards. So this is why I love this deck. Let me tell you a little story as I'm meandering through these cards. When I first started reading, I only read tarot. And a friend of mine, a good buddy, used to read oracle cards. And I used to always tease her, and I would call them Uno cards. That's what I used to call them. And she would always talk about how much she loved them, how great they were. And I just, would playfully jab at her. One day, the same friend bought me this deck, Soul Cards 2. And I also had Soul Cards 1. 1 is very much like 2. The only reason how come I don't still have it is because I really found myself using 2 all the time. And there are a lot of cards in here. Let's see if they told us how many, because it's a lot. It says here there are 120 altogether. Yeah, altogether it's 120. So it seems like to me Soul Cards 1 would have the first half and Soul Cards 2 has the second half. That's what it looks like the way it's numbered. So I would say there are about, what, 60 cards in this deck? So I found myself not reading with Soul Cards 1. Every time I wanted to do this type of work, I found myself reaching for Soul Cards 2. So a friend came over, and she was in love with the other one. So I sold her Soul Cards 1 and I kept Soul Cards 2. But now that I think about it, I may get another copy of it because I think it would just be good for my collection, because I wasn't collecting back then. I was just using decks. So as you can see, you have an image here, and basically there's no God word, there's no interpretation, there is nothing. You look at the image, and based upon your question, you figure out what is it trying to tell you. What is it trying to say? Let me see. Maybe if I give this a little bit of leverage, it won't keep acting like that. So I'm going to put a crystal underneath it. There we go. So based on your question, you then read it like that. Now, some people find this to be difficult, but for intuitive readers and for people who've been reading for a long time, it could be a for intuitive readers, I think it's pretty easy, honestly. And for people who've been reading for a long time, I think it's something that won't be difficult to figure out. If you know about colors, if you know about symbolism, images, you should be able to use this deck. And it is extremely abstract. And that is what I love about it, because tarot is a set system. We all know, the Three of Pentacles is the Three of Pentacles is the Three of Pentacles. Every time you see that card, it's going to roughly mean about the same thing. But what I've come to find with these is that they always mean something different. Now, yesterday, I was talking to a friend. You guys probably know her. Her name is Robin. She has a channel called Robin's Reflections. Really fun channel. And she does reviews and different little tarot activities and things like that. And I was talking to her and I pulled a card for myself. And this was the card that I got. So I'm going to show you guys how I read the card so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. What I got from this card is, first of all, see how the crown chakra is open? Yesterday, I woke up early and started to meditate and work on opening my crown chakra. When I pray, I hold my hands like this. So this is exactly what I did yesterday. I woke up, I prayed, I held my hands, I did my crown chakra work. So this for me is a little snapshot of what my day was revolving around. The golden light here, I took it as angelic and divine light, which is what I was tapping into as I was doing my prayers. And you see how I'm releasing negative energy. I'm releasing pain. I'm releasing. That's the first thing I do when I start praying. I do something called release. I release anything that doesn't belong, anything that hurts, things along those lines. So when I got this card for myself, I knew exactly what it meant. So if you got this card for yourself or someone else, you could you would basically hone in on whatever your eyes went to. And so my eyes went to the colors and the pose and the look on the person's face. I was in a really relaxed, peaceful state after all of that. So this is how you read these. And some people actually are able to correspond these with tarot cards. That's possible, and I'm going to show you an example when I get to it. But I don't do that. I just look at it and see. I ask for something. I usually ask a question. Like I might say, what's going on with this person? Or show me something this person needs to know. This person here is clearly in some type of, I would say, agony. So this would give me that, but see the rainbows here. So I feel like things are going to get better. They just don't see that. This card reminds me of the Five of Cups. Because remember in the Five of Cups, 3 of the cups are spilled, but 2 of the cups that the person can't see are still intact. So like I said, I don't really do that, but it does. Some certain cards, many of the cards remind me of tarot cards. But I just try to use them for what they are. Like this one, for example. I've gotten this card a couple of times. Again, emphasis on the crown chakra. Now this snake here, this snake, you could see it as attacking the man. Or you also could see this snake as being like controlled by him. Or you could see this snake as being in cooperation with him. So it really depends on you. It depends on the question that you're asking. And it depends on, if you're doing a spread or not, because you could do a spread with these. So it really depends on what you're working on. I remember pulling this card for a friend. And he said, as we were talking about the card, I was like, this card, he had a lot of problems with women. And this is the first thing I picked up with this card. And I was like, there's something about this stand and the way she's standing in his way. And as we started to talk about it, it was his mother. He felt like his mother was this dominating force who was always telling him what to do, always blocking him from doing things he wanted to do. And they still had not reconciled that in their relationship. And you see the yellow, I took that as she has a very strong navel chakra, because the yellow is associated with the navel chakra. So it seemed to me like she was a very strong woman in that kind of way. And I don't think she was purposely trying to block him. I think she was trying to protect him, based on the other cards that I pulled. But to him, it came off as her meddling, constantly meddling in his life. So as you can see, based on the question that you ask and what you're talking about, these cards can go deep. Check this one out. This is one of the few that's in landscape. When you put it like this is how it looks. So I always turn it to landscape. And it depends on a number of things with this card. But one of the things that comes up with this card, you see how the eye is either going in his mouth or coming out of his mouth. It reminds me of the all-seeing eye. And I'm thinking maybe this person is a seer, maybe a prophet. So they see and then speak the truth. Again, depending on the question. This one here, I always see this one having something to do sometimes with music, but it doesn't really have to. It could be about getting into harmony with the people around you, or getting your life in harmony. This one is the one I pulled for Robin yesterday, and it is just like her. And I told her, I said, it's the happiness that draws me to her, and her channel. The happiness, the positive energy. I feel like all of this yellow this gold is like positive energy. And I feel like she's like that in general, and that's what she portrays to the rest of the world. But what the world doesn't see is her emotion, because Robin is very private, and Robin, you know, she really likes to deal with her emotions on her own. Aquarius are like that too. We're very private about our lives. And so when I was telling her, she was like, yeah, I am very private. And she's also very happy. So if you check out her page, her channel, you'll see what I'm talking about. This one is interesting because I don't know. You can read this so many different ways. You can read this as this person, this could be you or your client, and they could be being protected by heavenly beings, you know, or they could be being protected by their ancestors, or ancestors watching over them. So like I said before, because of the fact that they're so abstract, your imagination can just jump off the colors. And, you know, this looks like to me like her heart chakra is blossoming. See how these are blossoming out of it, you know, or somebody could say that is, you could even say that like her heart chakra has, you know, things growing over it. Maybe it's been closed for a long time. It really depends on the question, because the blue could indicate sorrow, you know, or it could indicate spirituality. So it really depends on what your associations are. This always reminds me of Jesus. Every time I see this, I think of Jesus. So I think of the Jesus archetype when I see this card, either the person or maybe somebody. You know, this halo reminds me of the halos that are drawn over art for angels and, you know, saints and godly figures. If you notice, there's an opening, so an open heart, open solar plexus. So it depends, you know. The green often indicates spirituality. The dark could be walking through the darkness. So it really depends on what the question is. So that's what I love about soul cards, is that you freestyle with them. You freestyle based off the question, the energy that you're getting. And some people find that to be difficult because they're used to, you know, systems. Like tarot is a system. Kipper is a system. You know, Thoth is a system. So most people are used to those systems. But if you're somebody who is brand new to reading cards and you don't know all those systems, this could be helpful for you too. Because if you're an intuitive person naturally, I believe you can read these cards. Just ask a question and throw them out. Look at this one. This person looks really sad, kind of melancholy. This card always reminds me of the Four of Cups. That's why I said for people who are familiar with tarot, some of these cards are going to remind you of tarot, and some of them are completely different. But they give you facial expressions. They give you flowers. They give you colors. This person, I feel like their crown chakra is opening. You know, it's blossoming in that kind of way. Some of them look male, some of them look female, and some of them don't look either way. Like you don't know what the person is, which is cool too. This person to me seems to have been ensnared with black and white. And that black and white can be boredom, that could be stagnation, that could be negativity, but they seem to be swimming out of it. You see how they seem to be coming out of it and going in that direction. So like I said before, it all depends on the question and what you're looking at and what it reminds you of. Like this star, for example, and these beings around the earth. This always reminds me of ascended masters. But if you got it for a person, it could also mean cooperation. Maybe they need to cooperate with their family members or their coworkers. And I love them so much because they're very expressive. This is my favorite card. I get this card all the time. And to me, this is the witch. You know, the witch, the priestess, the shaman, the medicine woman. And inside her bowl could be a brew, a potion, a spell. She could be scrying with the bowl, doing divination with it. I love this card. This one is my favorite. And to me, she looks like a magical woman. Look at the way this, look at the way the hand is up. Very commonly seen in depictions of like saints and holy people, like they're blessing you. So maybe that person is receiving a blessing. This person, I think, is blinded by anger. The red to me represents anger. Sometimes red represents passion, but because of the look on his face, I think it's anger, and that anger has blinded him, at least in one eye. The other eye is still clear though, so you may be able to see past it. This reminds me of self-love. So your client may be having a problem with self-love, or they may be indulging self-love. Usually when I do these, I pull 3 cards so I can see what direction it's going in. This is so beautiful to me. This could be, again, this could be like introspection, like looking within, or you could be looking and talking to another person. Maybe you need to forgive someone and have a discussion with them. This one here. I've always found this one to be very interesting because this light being, it seems to me is like this. And it seems to me that some kind of way this being is handing this person something. And they seem to be shrouded in darkness. So maybe the person is in a depression or something like that. And someone is handing them the way out. The colors represented here are the sacral chakra and the navel chakra. So maybe they have a ancestor, angel, holy person who's trying to help them. A therapist, that person, anybody that brings light. I love this one. This reminds me of the Empress. So when I see this, I always think pregnant. And you could be pregnant with a baby. You can be pregnant with ideas. You can be pregnant with inspiration. There's so many ways to be pregnant. So I feel like this being is pregnant in some kind of way. And then look at this up here. This right here is giving me third eye. A lot of third eye energy and crown chakra. This one is really interesting. Look at that. Look at how the person is screaming. But again, sacral chakra and in the center, navel chakra. So it's like something is inside of them. Like their courage wants to come out. Their creativity wants to come out. Their feelings want to come out. That's what this card reminds me of. Like all of that energy wants to come out. Let's see. Here we go. This card reminds me of the Ace of Wands. It always does, but it can be so many different things. Him carrying the torch. Maybe somebody has a torch for you. Somebody's in love with you and you don't know about it. Or maybe you're carrying the torch secretly for someone. It's a lot of things that could be. Then it has wings too, so it could be an angel. It could be a fairy. So many things that one could be. This one is interesting too because it looks like the darkness is behind them and the light is ahead of them. So I feel like this person is going towards the light. This reminds me of Mother Mary. Always has. But it could be any woman. It could be any divine feminine, any goddess for that matter. This one is interesting because it's like somebody's hiding and watching. So sometimes I see this card when a person is being stalked or they're being watched. Maybe somebody's watching them online or something like that. Maybe somebody that they've hurt or they've scorned, you know, or maybe they're the one that's hurt and scorned and hiding, you know, maybe they're watching another person depending on the other cards. So as you can see, there's so many different ways to interpret these. This being seems to be folding a rainbow. So it's like, okay, what does that represent? Is there better times coming? And look at the swirling of that. Is that going within? Maybe this is a card about going within. And like I said, for every person, you may see something different. Like in this card, I might hone in on the woman. I might think that she's hiding from this being, you know, or I might think that they're connected in some kind of way, or I might just hone in on the tree, you know. So it just depends on what's going on. This one reminds me of the death card from tarot. So it could be read as transformation. It could be read as actual somebody's passing over. It could be read as a ghost or a spirit trying to contact you. It just, again, depends. This is fun too. Look at this. I love how this big person is here. It makes me feel like goddess is in the water. Some people talk about how Yemaya is the goddess of the sea. So it makes me feel like Yemaya is in the sea. And maybe this person is, you know, traveling along on their little boat and they're in some trouble and she's helping them. You know, that's what that one reminds me of a lot, because the sky is blue. So I don't think it's a storm, but she's in some kind of way helping them. It also could indicate emotion. Maybe this person is going through some dark emotions and getting help from the heavenly beings. I often get this one when Auset is talking to me, Goddess Auset, and this is me. I'm the little kid. Blossoming, you know, trying to be a better person. And there's the goddess with her hands over me, sending me energy and vibrations. You know, this is what I picture as I'm praying sometimes. It's a great card for that. And these cards are great for the altar. Like, for example, if you didn't even want to read them, you could just use them for altar cards. Just pick the ones that are invoking what you want to try to create at that moment. You can use these for daily pulls if you want to just get one card and kind of get to know the card. You also, if you wanted to, isn't that interesting? It feels like to me this person wears many masks. Like they change who they are based on the situation. So you really don't even know who they really are. So like I said, you know, you can use them for the altar, you can do the daily pulls with them, and you can do a reading with them by themselves, or you can add them to a tarot or oracle card reading. And I love the beings because remember I said some of them look masculine, some of them look feminine. But as you can see, most of them don't. Most of them look like they could be anybody. They look very androgynous to me. I feel like this one is about shadow work, the shadow and the self. Depending. It also could be two twins, good twin and a bad twin, you know, or you could have a partner like you and your wife, you know, maybe your wife is shrouded in darkness right now. This one reminds me of, again, Auset. But look, this being is older now. Like the being has grown up. So in the first card, the being was young and learning. And now the being has grown up. So maybe they've matured. This one is always very interesting to me. Look at all the hands at the top. That is like, I get a number of different things from this depending upon the person and the situation. But that reaching up, you know, it looks like somebody reaching up for salvation. This one, I have no clue what this is, but whenever I get it, I hone in, like, what is in this person's hand? It looks like they are grabbing evil, you know, or they're grabbing something, you know, and based on the question that you're asking, that could be a number of things. This to me is a love card. Like maybe this person has fallen in love or somebody's in love with them. Coming together, sacred union, twin flames, soulmates could go along with this too. So as you can see, they don't have a direct meaning to them, but you can get a lot out of them. And the looks on their face give you so much. Like her face is clearly at peace. She has a very peaceful face, and she seems to be like sending out. Remember how people they'll say, I'm sending thoughts and prayers. I'm sending positive energy. This is what it looks like to me. They're sending out this energy. This again, look at that reflection. You see that, like that kind of like reflective thing going on? Like maybe this person is doing introspective work, shadow work, could come up with this one as well. It could be so many different things. Past lives. Maybe they're looking at their past lives. And this one here, I think I might have shown this one to you first, but I didn't talk about it. This one here is really interesting to me because of the fact that the very first time I did a reading with these, I was reading a young lady, and I just kept staring at this right here. It kept drawing me right here. And I said, "Are you a cutter?" And she said, "Oh my God, how did you know that?" She was actively cutting herself. Another time I got it, I was talking to a guy, this was years ago, and I said, I kept getting pulled to the head of it. And I said, "I see cuts on your head." And he said, "Oh my God, I had brain surgery and I'm still recovering." So it's very interesting to me the way that they can pull you in different directions. Then there's cuts on the body. This could be tattoos. Maybe the person's getting a new tattoo. And they seem to be holding something here, protecting something that's cut up. So could there be a project that they're working on? You know, it's so many different ways to see it. So that's why I love this deck, because you can use it in so many different ways. And I just think that that is really awesome. So I think that was all of them. I'm making sure I showed you all the cards. I didn't have them in a particular order, and I think I did show you all of them. But this is Soul Cards too. So if you're somebody who wants a challenge, if you're a regular reader, like a professional reader, and you've never seen these before and you want more of a challenge, I would say this is awesome. If you're somebody who really just wants something different, this is awesome. It's a great collector's item as well. She has, like I told you, 2 other decks. There's Soul Cards 1, and there's a new one that she just came out with. But this is the one that I work with and have a great deal of success with. So check it out. And if you like it, go underneath this video and I will give you a link to where you can purchase a copy for yourself. And you come back soon, because I have a lot more to say. See you later.